All right, good morning all, and welcome to the Women in Maritime Transportation, Logistics, and Distribution Careers webinar presented by the Port Authority and Council on Port Performance. My name is Blair Wegescheid, Principal Transportation Planner at the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. The Port of New York and New Jersey, in partnership with the Council on Port Performance, delivers workforce development and career awareness resources and events, such as this one, to grow the connections and pathways to the maritime TLD industry. Today, I'm honored to be a part of this event, which puts the spotlight on women in professional roles across this vital industry. Although many of us live and work in the New York and New Jersey region, it can be hard to grasp the full impact that the port and its workforce have on you and your communities. The port's 6 major maritime facilities and the TLD workforce handle the majority of the port's cargo, which includes cars, bulk goods like road salt for our roads in the winter, electronics such as your phone or laptop, which you may be viewing this webinar on today, food products such as orange juice and produce, as well as clothing, household appliances, and so much more. This port handles just about anything you may use on a daily basis, and as a result, the industry needs qualified candidates to fill a variety of these roles, which work together to move these goods to their final destinations and end users. As a result, and as you'll hear today, no one's career path into this industry is the same. For instance, I entered the industry through the Port Authority's Leadership Fellows rotational program. This opportunity gave me the ability to sit in many different transportation and infrastructure related roles before placing into my current position. These opportunities exist, and we want to allow you the opportunity to explore all of your interests related to the diverse backgrounds and experiences that many of you have and that you'll hear from today. So we hope today's panel encourages you to dive deeper into this industry and understand some of the many pathways available to you as well. So many great opportunities exist across the maritime industry, but work still needs to be done in raising awareness to new groups of candidates. As an example, in 2019, the New York City Economic Development Corporation conducted a shared harbor study to better understand the demographic, educational, and operational needs of the maritime industry in New York and New Jersey. Survey results concluded that women and people of color are underrepresented in the maritime industry across the region. 32% of industry employees are women, and about 40% of all employees are people of color. However, the waterways of New York and New Jersey are vibrant, busy, and are being well used for recreation, transportation, and especially international trade. Based on the findings of this survey, work continues to be done to close this gap. And in order to continue to strengthen our maritime and transportation business and environment, next steps will be to increase maritime workforce pipelines through access and career awareness events such as this today. So we hope you'll continue to engage with us through future events to help strengthen this educational pipeline and grow awareness around this vital industry as well. I'd like to now introduce our moderator and panelists who will be sharing their personal experiences with you all today. We are joined by Anna Cantella, who is the Director of Human Resources at Global Container Terminals. Anna will serve as our moderator in leading a fireside chat of sorts with our 4 panelists. They include Christine Brady, who is the Customer Service Manager at PNCT, Julie Evans-Ailes, who is the Manager of Port Operations at New Jersey Marine Terminals for the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Karen Garrison, who is the Gate Superintendent at PNCT. We have Peggy Mecca, who is the owner of Mecca Trucking, and Linda Wilkins, who is a longshore worker and ILA member. So we're so thankful for today's panelists and the role that they play in their respective areas of the TLD industry. As we get started, just a reminder, please feel free to post questions in the chat box, and we'll save the Q&A session at the end of the event. So without further ado, I'd now like to turn it over to Anna and our panelists. Thank you, Anna.
Good morning to everybody, and thank you to everybody for participating in this event. I think it's vital to our industry and appreciate everybody's time. Let me start with Christine. Christine, I'd like to ask you, what drew you to the maritime transportation, logistics, and distribution industry, and how did you enter the industry?
Well, it was by chance. I was a young 20-year-old doing temp work and met a girlfriend that was going on an interview at Italian line, a steamship line, and oddly asked me to keep her company on the interview. And I wound up meeting the president there, doing an interview, and getting a job. And I was there 7 years with Italian line. Then I went to a French company, Delmas, because they had heard about my work over at Italian line. And then I was with them for 7 years. And then an old boss from there, who liked my work there, had me brought down to the pier, and I'm here now 20 years.
Interesting, long time in this industry. What about you, Peggy? What brought you to the trucking industry?
Well, I was literally born into the industry and it's in my blood. And I just thought I'd share with you that when my great grandfather came from Italy to the United States, he put down as his occupation that he was in the cartage business. And I thought that's funny because that's today's trucker. You would be today's trucker if you were in the cartage industry then. But the name of our company is Mecca and Son Trucking, and our company was founded in 1950 by my father. In 1956, he married my mom. And so my dad was the risk taker, and my mom kept things in order. And it was the dynamic duo of my parents that created an amazing business and a career path for myself and my brothers and sister. So I would just like to share that my mom just retired at the age of 79, and she is really the true woman in transportation business since she's been doing it. She was doing it from, for 50 years or 60 years of her life. And so basically, I've always worked in the transportation business and worked side by side with my parents. And while I wanted to be a dancer, like when I was in my college years, my dad gently nudged me to go to the Academy of Advanced Traffic in the 70s it was, and he wanted me to be a traffic manager. So needless to say, I started, I originally had one idea of what I wanted to do, but I chose the better lifetime career for myself. So that's my story.
It's fascinating. Huh? It really is. So congratulations. What about you, Julie? Can you tell us what drew you to the industry?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Yeah, my story is different. I actually have a operations. I started my career in operations. The crazy thing about it is I started in entertainment, but in operations. And I used to work for Time Warner, and back, I guess, in the 80s, I worked on a lot of the upcoming, entertainment projects and publishing books that were coming up in the 90s, such as Martha Stewart Living and This Old House and some other entertainment magazines like Vibe, but I always stayed in operations. Fast forward, I got the opportunity to come to the Port Authority where, again, it's operations, just a different just a different setting. And I had the opportunity to work at the George Washington Bridge. I was supervisor of tunnel operations at the Lincoln Tunnel, both at the Lincoln and Holland tunnels. I also worked at JFK Airport. However, with all of the operations in tow, my degree is in international business. So I always had an interest in global markets and just the differences between how cultures and the diversity in other countries in terms of how they operate. So when the opportunity came for me to apply for the manager of port operations, it kind of meshed its way together. So with my background already in operations and my interest and degree in international business, this pretty much is how I ended up here. And with all satisfaction, it made a perfect match for me.
Fascinating career, Julie. Good to hear. Karen, last but not least, can you tell us what drew you to this industry and how did you enter the industry?
I started out dispatching trucks
for a larger trucking company. And from there, I went to P&O Nedwood in the export booking department for reefers. They centralized their reefer department in East Rutherford at the time. And just from there, started branching out because I found it very interesting, all areas. And did a little time with the freight forwarder, ended up with customs for about 6 years, learning that end of it, and then came down here. So I've been around in all the areas, and it's good because it helps with everything I do today. I pretty much have an idea of what I need to do to fix a problem or, keep it moving. But it's a very interesting industry, and there's so many different areas that it's hard to really just want to be in one place because there's so many things to learn and to do. It's really interesting. For me, it is.
I agree.
So pretty simple.
So I agree with you, Karen. I haven't been as long in the industry as you all wonderful ladies. I've been at GCT for about 7 years, but previous to that, I worked for management consulting in New York for over 20 years, and after that ran a nonprofit, believe it or not. And that's how I met the people from Global, because I was asking them for money. So so that's basically how I came here, found out about this wonderful industry, found out about the great work they do, was really fascinated by the type of industry, the people that lead GCT, Global Containers, and want to be part of this industry. So I think I agree with all of you. It is a great industry to be in, and hope that we attract a lot more women and diverse people to the industry. So my second question, I'm going to ask Karen again. I'm going to pick on you now. What is your current role, and can you walk us through any other position that you've held? So what are you doing on a day-to-day basis, and what else have you done that might interest these our people listening today?
On a day-to-day basis, I am gate superintendent, and I also am part of the yard. So I come in early to, I open the terminal by 6 a.m. and just make sure that the trucks have, everything that, in other words, that the gate is running and operating the way it's supposed to, with no delays, no problems, or no issues. And, from there, I do all of my administrative work, which is reports that I might have to do, or any type of damages, but also monitor the truck traffic in and out of the terminal, because it's, we've got to keep it smooth running and safe. Most importantly, safe. But being here, there's all types of operations going on at one time. You have vessel loading and unloading. You have the strad drivers picking up containers from the vessel, putting them in the yard. You have the other yard strads taking them from the yard to the truck, and then you have the truck that's taking it to the door. Everything does move through this port, like was mentioned earlier. One of the most important things are medications, that especially during this time. And so I just assist wherever I can. Anybody who asks me for help, I help them, and I, do what I have to do to get whatever comes, anybody's container that they may be missing, or maybe delayed, or maybe damaged. And Christine and I actually work together a lot on that, because it takes more than one person to get something, especially when it's a problem, resolved to the satisfaction of the customer, and to get the goods out the gate. So that's really what my main thing is. And actually, I love it. I love coming to work every day doing exactly what I do. So I'm very fortunate.
And it's so important, right? If we didn't have people like you, we wouldn't have things on the shelves at the stores, or everything that we need. So it's unbelievable if we, how important your job is, and to the economy and to everybody's lives. So thank you. Peggy, what do you do on an everyday basis? What is it that's part of you, that makes it part of your day?
Well, I'm currently the president of Mecca and Son Trucking Company. And we are an asset-based carrier, and we're based in Jersey City, New Jersey, for over 70 years. We do primarily drayage and warehousing, but we do all types of transportation related services such as truckload, LTL, picking up damaged containers if a container is damaged at the pier, cross dock, warehousing. We do a little bit of everything. While I'm the president, I'm sort of more of a hands-on owner. Like I get involved, I'll oversee the operations. If there's issues, I get involved. If not, I try to let my team deal with it. But any type of issues, I still get involved with. Maybe I micromanage, maybe that's not to my advantage, but I just like being in the mix of, it all. So I like being the president, getting in my reports and doing that. But I also like having the relationships with the customers. I like having the relationships with the Christines of the world and the Mark Vacaras and your team over at Global. And I like having the relationships in that people know me in the industry, and that's all important to me. So.
Well, your name is definitely someone that's known at GCT. I know Mr. Brady has mentioned you many times, and it's definitely a company that does great for our business. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
So can you, what about you, Julie? Do you, what do you do on a day-to-day basis? And can you walk us through your current position and what you've done previously? Well, you mentioned a little bit before, but can you just tell us now what do you do on a daily basis?
Well, as manager of port operations, listening to Peggy and Karen, we, in a nutshell, I ensure that all of the dots stay connected, to put it bluntly. I mean, it's billions of dollars of cargo is being transported through New Jersey Marine Terminal, through the ports here. I mean, we're one of the largest, the second, we kind of flip-flop between second and third largest port in the country. So my job with a team of staff here is to ensure that everything remains fluid. And what that means is, we ensure that the truckers, that the roads, like we're a landlord tenant. So a lot of the business here, we play that tenant role. They run independently, and we make sure that they can do that they can operate accordingly. So that can involve anything from just making sure that the traffic is flowing. That can involve responding to emergencies. As you can imagine, with all of the trucks transporting, even rail, accidents happen. That's coordinating. A lot of what I do is coordinating with police, sometimes the surrounding city mayors and officials to make sure if there's issues that occur, around the surrounding or the land and surrounding areas, that we just make sure that, again, everything is taken care of, for the port. And also with my staff, there's several, we have several operations reps that basically are assigned to many of the tenants in the port. So it can be anything from work getting done, upgrades, working with the Coast Guard to make sure that the berths, which are, the piers, that they're sufficient so that vessels can come in. So yeah, it's pretty much a web of resources and coordination to make sure that everything is moving.
Very interesting and exciting, right? That you get to deal with so many moving parts and meet so many people. I think it makes it fascinating.
Excellent.
Christine, what about you? What is, can you walk us through basically your current position, and many others you might have held?
Well, like Karen, I'm a little more administrative, but definitely operations as well. It's a lot of problem solving. There's a lot of time crunch because everything's time sensitive. And whether, like somebody else was saying, there could be an accident. But otherwise, it's just a simpler day, people having issues with the trucking community, or whether it went out on the rail, or if they need assistance with the steamship line that does all the bookings for them. We're helping those communities. So I'm the go-to in between. And where Karen's more out in the field where us customer service would not be. We're more day-to-day dealing through emails, but it's a lot of problem solving, which is fun and it's exciting. And before that, I was much more administrative when I was with Steamship Line, but when you come down to the port, the energy is tenfold. It's very exciting.
Never stops, right? Never stops.
Correct. A lot of pressure, but it's fun.
Definitely. I'm not sure, Linda, are you on the line? Okay, just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing her. So my job as Director of Human Resources at GCT basically is to attract, to hire, to train, and maintain the best fit for GCT, the best individuals that we can at the company, and also obviously to make sure that we're in compliance with all of the laws and that we do our best to service the community. So that's what I currently do. I also interact with several individuals at the company and outside, so it's definitely a fascinating business. So my next question, I'm going to ask basically Peggy, as a woman, right, as a woman in the male-dominated industry, what is the most valuable experience or piece of insight that you've learned in your career?
First, be confident in yourself. Second thing is know your audience, know where people are coming from, and try to get a feel for their history so that you can have a better understanding of where people come from. And I think it just creates a better relationship. Probably the most important thing is earn the respect of your shipping colleagues, not bully others, talk down to people, and don't allow yourself to be bullied. Listen. Be in tune to the needs of your business. Keep educating yourselves. And if you don't know the answers, always ask the questions and push yourselves into things that even if you're a little uncomfortable with. So for example, I was a little uncomfortable doing this webinar because I've never done it before and I'm 63 years old, but I pushed myself to doing it because I just think it's important to keep growing and learning and just keep challenging yourself. So I just thought I'd share that.
I share your sentiments exactly. I think it's part of growth to kind of get out of your comfort zone, right? So I think that's what makes us grow as individuals.
Yes.
So Christine, can you tell us what, as a woman in the male-oriented industry, what's the most valuable experience or insight that you've learned?
Don't know if I can give exact insight. However, I've always worked in this industry and I never felt being less than or even noticing that it was 80% men when I started. Generally, most people treat you equal, and if you do the same, you'll have the same respect, and you can move quite far in the industry and move to different sectors. And I don't think you should feel intimidated at all that it's a male-dominated industry.
And maybe someday it'll be a woman-dominated industry. Who knows, right?
Correct.
Julie, I mean, Port Authority, great institution, great place. What can you share with us in terms of just being in a male-dominating industry and one of the most valuable experiences you've had?
Just to kind of piggyback for what Peggy said, it's basically, educate yourself, having a voice. Don't be afraid, because sometimes because we know it's male dominated, some may, not be comfortable with speaking up. But know your voice, have a voice, and be able to speak up and continue. There's so many resources. I was just speaking to someone about YouTube. I was like, I wish I had a YouTube growing up, or some of the Google and sites that you can just find information. There's so much information. Just continue to educate yourself and have a voice there. I mean, I came from I've always been in the kind of male dominating industries, but before this, like I said, entertainment, male dominating in the role I play. And what I failed to mention, I was also in the military and I was a mechanic, and that was not really something that females were going to do at the time. So, just speak up and you can do anything.
What a great background. And Karen, what about you?
I basically just don't expect any special anything because I'm a female. So what I do, if I have to direct traffic, I do. If I have to go help move trucks, I do. Whatever I have to do, I go and do to get the traffic flowing and the terminal moving. And sorry, it doesn't matter that I'm a female, and nobody treats me any differently because I am a female, because I am willing to do my job to the best of my ability, right alongside the rest of them. So again, what Christine said, here at PNCT, it's not really about male-female domination. It's more about teamwork, and we're all working together to get to one common goal, which is move the cargo as quickly as we can and make sure that everybody goes home safe at the end of the day. And whatever we have to do, and I mean, if Christine had to put on a pair of boots and a vest and go direct traffic, I guarantee you she would be doing it in a heartbeat. So just because her desk is customer service or mine is a gate and yard, we share whatever needs to be done as a whole, because teamwork is really what it's about. And if you don't see yourself in a special way as a female, nobody else is going to look at you that way either. You have to make sure that your presence is known, that you can handle your job, and that you want to be there doing what you're doing. That's the most important thing, is having a job that you love to go to in the morning. And this way you succeed, because you want to be where you are doing what you're doing. There's no failure there. There's all success in that. So that's pretty much how I feel about it.
Totally agree. Teamwork, respect, just treat others as you want to be treated, and make sure you have a voice at the table. So I think it's a great things to live by, and that we practice as well here at GCT. So I think it's a great team environment.
Yeah, if I could add to that, the industry has gotten so modern, so corporate. The old, maybe women were not down here because it was thought of as old men smoking cigars, and it's not that at all. It's very corporate. It's up to the times. It does charitable work. It has a team. It's stressed very much so, and the old days of the old images.
The most important thing is
Women should
really
not be
safety, because anybody at any time can be injured, or if anything, even worse, fatally. So our main focus at PNCT is safety. That's the top priority before anything else. And then after that, it is moving the cargo and the trucks. I mean, a lot of times truckers don't really understand why they're being delayed, and it's not of anyone's fault. It just happens. We don't want you here any longer than you need to be here. However, if there's a reason for, you know what I mean, there are reasons that does happen. And unfortunately, that's where Christine really has to pick up and say, listen, it just was the machine was no good, or the box was in the wrong place, or whatever the case may be. But we all play an important role in everyday functions at PNCT.
Getting it in safety, I totally agree, and how important it is, right? So Christine, to make sure that the communication goes through to maybe to the trucking community, or to whoever needs that information, so that things run smoothly. Very important role. So thank you. So Christine, how can young women interested in a transportation related career prepare themselves for the industry? What do you think they should be doing?
Well, depending, I guess, on which angle they were going towards. If it was, there are more corporate steamship line avenues. They could be a machine operator, as Linda is, running strad machines or driving cars off of the auto vessels, as a longshoreman, or even as a union checker. There's probably not an endless amount, but women are certainly welcome in all those avenues. Doesn't seem like there'd be any roadblocks, even as a truck driver. It's just possibly not known, because this industry seems almost like a little secret. Nobody knows that we're here moving all this cargo, but there's plenty to do, and it could be a man or a woman. It doesn't seem to have one or the other.
To Peggy, what do you think young women interested in a transportation-related career can do to prepare themselves for this industry, for this type of role, whether in the trucking or container terminal? What do you think they should be looking at?
Well, I just want to share that the volume of goods being shipped into around the world globally is going to quadruple in the next 20 to 30 years, especially as population increases. So to me, the most important thing for, young people or people interested in the industry is if they can get involved with technology, because that is going to transform the way we do things. And there are just so many jobs out there and so many career opportunities, but I think it's more about technology right now. And you can, especially sitting in my shoes, do it on the drayage side of it. You can be a driver, you can do sales, you can handle customer service, you could be IT, you could be the safety director of a company, you can manage the company. It's just so exciting, and there's just so many things to do. And we have a long way to go in the industry, and we're so important for the global supply chain. So I really think that it's an exciting business for young people and people interested in our industry to enter right now.
I agree. Julie?
Yes, I think, for any young woman interested in this industry, I'm gonna go back to doing your research. There's a lot of materials out there. One, for instance, trade publications. The JOC, the Journal of Commerce, is a nice mesh of information. It tells you about the industry, what's happening in the industry, and it covers everything from the rail container shipments, from what's going on in the trucking industry, to just kind of give you a feel of what's happening and what you may be drawn to. Also, in my position here, and I see at the port, there's people of all backgrounds. I mean, even from real estate and sales. I mean, for the ports, there's always space. Space is always an issue. Where to put the goods, warehousing, things of that nature. So, I think there's something for everyone with all types of backgrounds, but like something like the JOC, you might be able to kind of feel of what's going on in the industry and see what may strike your interest.
I agree. What about you, Karen? What do you think what young women can do to prepare to have a career such as a gate superintendent at PNCT? What should they be doing?
The best thing they can do, in my opinion, is ask for a tour of whatever facility that you feel like you want to be in, because I know that we do tours here all the time for schools and for students and for colleges. They come here and they get a tour of the terminal, and they get to view all different areas. So they see multiple different positions and jobs that are there. It doesn't hurt, even if your school doesn't do that, doesn't reach out and make that. You can always call and ask, I'm a student, this is what I'm interested in. Is there any way that I would be able to get a tour of the facility and, or whatever, or even a group of kids from a certain school or college? I think that would be, and I'm not sure about anybody else, but I know at PNCT, we do that. We do that often with the schools and the colleges.
Maritime schools?
Like maritime schools, or even regular, I think, high schools we've had here as well. We've had Cub Scouts come here, and people do not know. They drive past us on the turnpike every single day. They have absolutely no idea what actually is going on in here, when it's actually like a whole little world inside of a world with everything that's going on. So I would say reach out to whatever area you think might be most interesting, and then ask for extra reading material or information. Search the websites, read about their places, and then contact and reach out and ask, can I have a tour? Can I come in and see for myself exactly what's going on and how it works and what areas there are and what is available? For me, that's what I would like to do. That's how I would do it.
So I agree with all of you. I think, I mean, at GCT, we definitely being the first semi-automated terminal in this area. I think technology is important, right? And I think just finding out about the industry, asking for tours, asking for information is all key. I see some of the questions that are coming up, or such as, are there opportunities for high school students, and how can we get started? Are there specific things that we study in high school? So for GCT, I mean, we do give tours for high school students. At the moment, we don't have internships at the moment. I'm not sure PNCT, what they're doing at other terminals, but reach out, in my opinion, reach out to those terminals, see what you can be doing, if there's internship opportunities, if not, if there's opportunities to go to those terminals, perhaps the trucking community, perhaps the Port Authority. Look on their website, reach out to human resources or other departments, and try to get an understanding of what it would be to work in that industry or in that field. Why, I'm going to go back to the next question, which to Peggy. Why should students consider this business sector over others? Why should they come to the trucking community, to a container terminal, and not go to finance?
Basically, I just think it's just an exciting career, and I think if some young people just came to work, going back to your previous question, if they came to work at a trucking company, for example, say as mine, and they started just doing part-time work, there's like a level of energy that's, incredibly exciting. And then this fast pace, it's very fast paced. And I think you need to come into a trucking company, see what's going on. And I think you'll just find that it's just pretty exciting.
What about you, Christine? Can you tell us why students should consider perhaps customer service at one of these terminals and this type of sector?
Well, not only customer service, let's say here, but you could be at a distribution center or at a freight forwarding company. And in a distribution center, you could be working for a company that you really have a connection with, whether it's the Gap or Pottery Barn or trying to think of a fun thing that kids would like. It's beyond me, but there's more to than just the trucks and the cranes working here at the terminal. As you can see, it goes so much further out, reaching out to all communities, even inland, not just down here by the water as well. And I would just look at logistics if you were on one of those web portals for jobs, and find something that looks interesting of a company that you'd like to work for, instead of just maybe the location.
Yep. What about you, Julie? Why should we consider going to Port Authority? Why should students consider going to Port Authority and working perhaps for your industry instead of maybe working for a management consulting company or some other industry? What is it that makes your day exciting?
Well, definitely every day is different here. I joke and I say it's like the emergency room. You never know what's going to walk in or what's going to happen on any given day. I think in terms of the future, and Peggy had touched on this, the business TLD is only growing, and ensuring that that we keep the goods, it's a significant impact to the economy. And I just think there's going to be a lot of opportunities, and it's just, it's an exciting, fast-paced world, and I enjoy it. It's a lot going on, and you never get bored with this, but there's a lot of opportunities.
What about you, Karen?
I just feel like it's going to be, I mean, obviously business is booming right now. They're expecting larger and larger ships and amounts of cargo to be traveling back and forth, import or export. It's very interesting when you do realize how much really goes on here and all of the moving parts that are constantly going. And it's a good business to be in. I mean, I guess it takes a certain person, but if you have interest in global economy and shipping, it's the perfect place for you to be. You know, I mean, that's just the bottom line.
I agree. I think this is great. Where do you see the trucking community? Where do you see your business in the industry in the next 5 to 10 years, Peggy? And what role do you think those entering the TLD workforce will play?
Well, first, as we're currently experiencing now, we're going to be struggling for drivers. Drivers, drivers are the core to moving freight throughout the United States. And right now we're waiting for autonomous trucks to be part of this, but I don't see that for another 5 to 10 years. I see a consolidation of players in the industry, but as the global population increases, so it's always going to be something to do in our field. And as I said, it's going to be about transportation technology. There's a lot of current inefficiencies in the industry coming to light, and there's a huge demand to improve the entire supply chain processes. So our industry will be technology driven for better managing operations and transparency to customers. Right now, with the Ubers of the world and Amazons of the world, people are of a different level now. They expect things quicker, they expect transparency, and they want what they want when they want it. And it's going to be for us to improve things and to come up to those current standards. So that's what I'm seeing.
Yep, I agree with you, Peggy. What about you, Christine? Are you seeing the same thing? Where do you think our industry in terms of the container terminal will be in the next 5 to 10 years? And what do you see for those entering the TLD workforce will play?
Well, as Peggy was stating, like all of us, it's definitely leaning towards more technology, whether it's with GPS, with everything run by computers, less and less maybe people needed. But that's another avenue for students to look at. It's IT, not necessarily operations, to get in this industry, because it's everyone wants to have state-of-the-art equipment, whether it's running the vessels themselves or the computers that we look at to follow what's going on the vessels or the gates. It's constantly changing. People are trying to improve service. So therefore, we'll always get more and more involved with technology. So that's the only way it's that's definitely where it's going in 5 to 10 years.
Great. What about you, Julie? Where do you see the industry? Where do you see Port Authority in the next 5 to 10 years, or the industry in itself? And what role do you think those entering the TLD workforce will play?
Well, I think, Peggy, Christine, everyone pretty much summarized everything. I think technology definitely is big, and we're going to look for ways to just work more efficiently and effectively with technology. But also an area that's big for us in the Port Authority is environmental stewardship. So environmental is a big part of what we do. There are a lot of initiatives now to get electric trucks and other solar power, and also keeping the waterways, looking out for clean waterways and things to ensure that the environment is safe. So I think that's another area that we didn't touch on, but that's also big for us. And I also have like environmental specialists that actually are hired here at the port that just focus on that in particular.
Thank you. What about you, Karen? Do you want to comment on where do you think the industry will be in the next 5 to 10 years? And what do you think of those entering the TLD workforce will play?
I actually do think that it's going to just increase considerably. It is true that there is a very big shortage of drivers. That's a known fact. There's also a shortage of containers. So we have like all of these areas where the cargo is moving nonstop, and we're coming up short in some areas, but we are working to improve it across the board. A lot of roadways are being widened and made larger to handle the truck traffic from the larger ships coming through. Channels are being dredged, bridges are being raised. So it's definitely going to be an industry to increase in volume, and they're going to need, people to handle it, female, male, whatever it may be. But it's in 5 to 10 years from now, it's just going to be a larger scale. And yes, environmental, yes, definitely going to be key, and also safety. Again, sorry to keep going back to that, but from what you see in the area, based even anywhere in the port, any highways, they're making everything larger and wider and bigger for a reason, and it is for the the economy, to move the cargo, whether it be by train, by truck, by boat, however it goes. So I do see it increasing drastically, larger volumes of cargo.
I agree. So I'm going to go to some of the questions that are in the chat room. One of the questions is for Peggy Mecca. Peggy, with the need of the drivers, do you provide training and assist those who are interested in obtaining their CDL?
Well, just so you know, one of the challenges, I just thought I'd share this, one of the challenges that we have is, in order to hire drivers, they have to be approved by the insurance commission or our insurance company. And the insurance company will only approve the drivers if they've had 2 years of experience. So we're in this catch-22 situation where older drivers are aging out and moving on, and younger drivers want to enter the industry, but the insurance company says they can't get behind the wheel, and I'm not going to cover you under the insurance policy unless you've had 2 years of experience. So I think it's really important for agencies out there to recognize the need for these drivers. And let's start with 18-year-olds. Let's start training processes with them, and allow them to get behind the wheel. Because we're kind of between a rock and a hard place where we want to train them, we want to put them behind the wheel, but then the insurance company says, "Hey, we're not going to insure you." So so there's that one issue. And then yes, when we do hire our drivers, we will have them follow more experienced drivers. We will put them in the trucks with other drivers as much as the truck driver allows. A lot of drivers don't like having other people in the truck right now in today's environment, but we do try to do that. But if there could be programs out there, and that's more on a public level, to allow these drivers, to get more training, and be open-minded to having these new drivers come into the workforce. That's something I think that's so incredibly important, because we really need drivers, and we will train them, but we need to overcome the insurance obstacles. I just thought that was important, that I needed to share.
Thank you. So what about in terms of the CDL? Where are they, Julie? I'm not sure. Can anybody give some guidance in terms of where drivers get the CDL right now, or is that something we circle back?
I'm not, and I'm going to piggyback on my prior career or prior position. I used to deal with the CDL for our drivers at the tunnels, but through the DMV, I mean, there's a lot. If you research on the websites of like any of the state or local DMVs, they usually provide some type of guidance and instructions on how you can qualify and obtain a CDL, just in general. So I would start there. I don't have a lot, in my position here, we don't deal a lot with that aspect of it, but, just from what I've done in the past and able to, what I was able to help other employees who required CDLs for their job, we used a lot of the local DMV information.
So I think we just posted thank you, Heather. I think she just posted some information in terms of how to get in the TDL industry and the career pathways, and in terms of basically colleges that are offering CDL programs and all that. So that's great information, and I think that'll serve as very helpful to the students. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I think some of the other questions definitely I'm sure I will get back to all of you in terms of, some of the answers. I can tell you one of the questions is the TDL industry ideal for working moms? Does it offer flexibility? And I can say at GCT, we do offer flexibility in terms of working. We offer working from home in some of the positions. It depends on what role you have, right? If you're a marine manager, if you're a yarn manager and you have to be out there, I'm sure at PNCT and the other terminals, it depends on the position and what your role is in the organization. But I think every company will definitely speak to candidates and to working moms. And I mean, I'm a working mom and has been able to accommodate me in what I need in my career. So I think it does, but it depending on the role. Does anybody want to add anything else about that in terms of a working mom and what our industry offers, and is it accommodating for them? No. Okay.
Just I'd share that I think in today's world, I think, companies we're more flexible. Where years ago, maybe a truck driver was needed to work 12, 14 hours a day. Sometimes I'm surprised at how many hours are expected of a truck driver to work. I think in today's world, we're just more flexible. And the timing is right. It's just a better timing for people if they want to be a truck driver. I think currently there's only 7% of the drivers are women. And I think we can do a better job at this, and more about it is being flexible with women, or just flexible in general. And I think we're there. I think we're much better than we were many years ago.
I agree. It's definitely a great time to be in this type of business, and a great time to just be part of this wonderful, just transportation. I see Linda, or Julie. So thank you, all of you, for participating. I wanted to thank all of you for attending, for giving me information about what you're doing at your roles. I think it's so important. So for seeing Julie, Karen, Peggy, thank you for participating, and definitely Blair, thank you for allowing me to be the moderator and to just be able to give information to everybody. So have a wonderful day, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Hannah, and thank you again to all of our panelists. We really appreciate you all offering your time and for graciously sharing your experiences and insight into this TLD industry as well. So just to kind of piggyback off the conversation about CDL training, I put the link in the chat, but we do have a TLD jobs board on LinkedIn. And we recently did a webinar that specifically answers the question, how do I get my CDL? So we definitely encourage many of you to look into local New Jersey community colleges that are now offering CDL programs. You can also talk to local one-stops that provide CDL training and courses to prepare you to obtain that license. So please feel free to interact with us. Think about joining that LinkedIn TLD group. We're often posting about internship programs, whether it be through the Port Authority or through many of the organizations and companies that you heard from today, including all of our marine terminals and some of our trucking companies as well. So we encourage you to engage with us on LinkedIn and through that group specifically. So again, you can find that link in the chat. But again, thank you for joining us today, and thank you to all of our panelists. It was so great to meet all of you and to work with all of you to deliver this event. So have a great rest of your week, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.